How's it going, everyone? We are live. I was going to ask who's the host for this time, but I don't think it really matters. I don't think it matters. How's it going, everyone?
Semi-officially, it's me, but
man, yeah, it's a pretty loose episode. How's everyone doing today? This is actually something that the audience gets to experience for the first time, because normally when we do one of these, we chat for like 20 to 30 minutes beforehand before we actually hit record. Yeah. And this time we like just sat down and we're like, yeah, let's just go. So you're gonna experience a lot of the BS.
Just a preamble.
Yeah,
absolute preamble.
Yeah, we like to chat for about, I don't know, like probably 20 or 30 minutes before we actually decide to hit record.
Yeah. I just want to say huge shout out to everyone who's making it here today on Christmas Eve, at least here in this hemisphere. I know in the other hemisphere it's already Christmas, so shout out to all the folks out there in New Zealand and
that's true.
That kind of stuff where it's already Christmas. And we have a few folks in chat already. We have Mr. Chaos Hazard, who says, "Let's go,
LL Pod fam."
Yeah. We have Kevin the Flame, who's a long-time viewer and supporter. So great to see you here. And then one of my favorite artists, Hanchu, is in chat. Amazing anime artist. She's awesome. So shout out to her.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. I think one of the reasons that we decided to do this as a live stream, I think it was Az's idea. I think you were the one that initially brought it up. Was just like it would maybe just be a fun thing. Like, you know, not everybody has something to do during the holidays, or sometimes people don't like have family or they can't see family. And you know, we're not trying to be a replacement for your family, but this is like, you know, Flesh and Blood is all about community, and our community is great. So it's like, why not just have a hangout?
Yeah, and like
anybody who wants to hang out, you can.
There's that, and like, you know, not everyone celebrates Christmas. There's like a lot of factors to it, and like the holiday season is different for a lot of folks. And some people it's like awesome, some people it's like depressing. And so like, no matter what, if you have some time today, you can just hang out with us and just have a good time. Like,
And this is a live stream, but it will be available also, I believe, for audio viewers for our next episode. Is that right?
That's a little bit of a like Inception kind of thing, because if the audio listeners are listening to it, then obviously it's already happened. So
they would have already seen what's going on. Yeah.
So basically, what I'm going to do, by the way, if you're just catching this and you're like, hey, I want to listen to the audio only version, I'm going to be downloading this stream and then ripping the audio and then properly editing it with the beginning, like the intro and outro, and then putting
James in it.
With James in it. Plan to have James in the intro for at least this episode and the next episode, because I think the way it's going to work is we'll have one more episode this year, or maybe this one might be the last one, and the next one we record will be the first one for the next year. But either way, James is going to be with us for this year at least, and hopefully next year when he comes onto the podcast, we can coerce him into doing another intro.
Well, on the podcast, on that episode, before we click record, you can do another intro for us for 2023.
Yeah. Just a generic intro.
We should just do like one of those like 2014 like MLG edits, like for COD, where it's just like
proper in your face. Brilliant. Well, thanks for everybody who's tuning in now in the future, whether you're listening to this back or watching this right now. I'm going to crack a Tiger, which is it's 7 o'clock here in the UK, which means I'm fairly ahead in the Christmas Eve shenanigans in regards to these guys who are also in the chat. But I'm having a Tiger. You'll be able to see this on the video stream, which is like it's a
like
Asian lager.
Lager.
Okay. So if anybody knows me, I drink a lot of lagers just because they're easy to drink. They get you there on the level quickly.
Easy to drink, get you plastered. Let's go.
Get you on the level. But cheers everybody. Have a wonderful Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, I don't have an alcoholic beverage because it's 11 a.m. here. I do have a mostly drinking tropical mango vitamin water.
For me, I just got a big thing of water. Just a big old
absolute keg.
Water's good.
Big monstrous thing of water. So also,
Fantastic.
one of the things that we wanted to do for this, which we've mentioned already, is that we kind of wanted this to just be like an open discussion, like an open forum, sort of like a very loose Q&A style thing where we just chat with people who are here. So that ties really nicely into, there are a couple things here that people have already said. We have a few more people that are also hanging out. We have Decks and Drafts.
Yeah. Joey. Yeah.
Nice.
Joey.
And look at all these strapping freaking gentlemen. Well, thank you, Joey. That's very sweet.
We have
very kind.
A lot of comments that say they can't stick around, but they're just stopping in to say hi, which, you know what? We really appreciate it. And thank you all,
It's
Aaron,
fantastic.
Adam, and GBB.
Ravenous Rabble.
Ravenous Rabble?
Ravenous Babble. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ravenous Babble. Who sent me,
Ravenous.
I don't have him here, but they sent me some like custom Flesh and Blood like token things.
Yeah, I saw those actually.
really-
pretty nice.
They look nice. And they sent me like 2 of my favorite heroes, Arachne and Azalea, which is great.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Ty, thank you so much. I was floored yesterday when Az was actually the first one to message our chat and be like, guys, we won best new podcast. And I was like,
oh, of course. That's the thing we can bring up. People haven't seen it, but yeah.
So there's the Speedy. Az was the first one. Yeah, he like tweeted about it too, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I guess we won. Like I didn't even. I completely forgot. And then I went back and watched it. This is funny. I forgot, even though I'm one of the people who presented one of the awards. So if you haven't seen it, I presented the Breakout Star of 2022 award, which went to Michael Hamilton. Spoilers. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
The dude won
First
Worlds.
world champion.
He won Worlds, and not just that. I've talked to him a couple times in person. One of the more memorable ones was after he won the calling last year. That was paired with the U.S. Nationals, so he won the calling with Oldham.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where everyone was off congratulating. I think it was Tarek Patel who won U.S. Nats that year, and it was they just told Michael, he's just like, okay, you stand back here. And he was just standing there like by himself because everyone else was going and congratulating Tarek. And so I just went up and chatted with Michael. I'm like, I'm not gonna let the dude just won the calling. I'm not gonna let him just stand here by himself for like 10 minutes. So I chatted with him, and he's really nice. He's a very humble and nice person, and I think he is the kind of person that, like, I don't want to say Flesh and Blood needs as like the world champion, but it's like, it's really good to have someone who's kind, humble, and just really, really good at the game. So I think it's a good thing. So yeah,
definitely. Yeah, he comes across like a really, really nice gentleman, and obviously his brain is in the right place. Obviously he's won world championships and what have you. So yeah, definitely. He won the MVP and he won 2, didn't he? Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Hey, we took his podcast win. He did not win the best podcast. We got that. We got the
we got that. Yeah.
I'm actually glad. So I didn't know this, but there was like the community member thing too, and the nominees ended up being, or like the runner-ups or whatever. It was Flake, DM Armada, and then me. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this. Like watching it, I'm like, I kind of hope I don't win because I don't want to win 2. I don't want to win 2 of the things, even though the Living Legends is all 3 of us. But I was like, I don't want to be involved in winning 2 of the things. And so Flake ended up winning that one. And I was like, okay, cool.
And rightly so as well. Everyone knows who he is, and he's just one of the pillars in the league. So.
Just a stand-up guy.
Oh, Flake's great. Flake's awesome. I've been able to hang out with him quite a bit because he goes to a lot of the same events, and we've done coverage together. It was also one of those things where I watched it. I'm like, I mean, dude, it's your show, so it'd be kind of sad if you didn't win it on your own show.
Yeah. Although I love how the show like, even the producer was like, it's fixed. He's fixed himself.
Rigged.
Rigged. That's it. Yeah, rigged.
Yeah, and then Flake is like, and
yeah. Kevin LaFlamme saying, easily deserved. This is my favorite Flesh and Blood podcast. Well, thank you very much, Kevin.
You got good taste.
Means a lot.
Exactly. He's got good taste. Yeah. I think we cover an interesting space because obviously we speak about everything, don't we, on here?
Yeah.
Whether it's our own personal experiences, what can be improved, what's great, what's not great, all aspects of the game is covered on here.
I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah. So It's good.
It's like kind of also how I approach like just community in general. I want the community, and then like the idea behind the podcast is just to be like something for everyone, right? So if you're a pro player, if you're just into the lore, if you just want to hear from LSS people, like we want to be that podcast that like anyone can come and listen to and enjoy and get something out of. If you're a fan of Flesh and Blood, we want the Living Legends to be for you, basically. Yeah,
exactly. Because I think we mentioned on the last one as well, like, what's the percentage of people that play Flesh and Blood that are going to be Pro Tour top 8s? 90, not much at all, really, like percentage-wise.
Less than 1%, probably. Like you could probably name them like on your hands, like.
Yeah. Like if you look at the leaderboards, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of players on there, and every time you see an event happen, like the people that are in the top 8 are like very deserving, but it's a group of like maybe 100 people like that just kind of rotate between. So like, and they do deserve it because they grind and they know the game and that. But like there is of course, and we know that personally as well as I think a lot of the people that follow us. There are so many reasons to love this game. Like the competitive scene is great, but we had a whole discussion a little while ago just about UPF. UPF will never be. I hope UPF is never a competitive format. That would be so miserable.
Oh yeah, UPF. Let's go competitive UPF. Oh no!
I don't think so. I don't think they want it to be either. Because I do know that like they play Ultimate Pit Fight internally. Like it's not just something that they threw out just like whatever. Like certain members of LSS actually really enjoy UPF and playing it. And I know like we had Alan Hale on the podcast maybe a month or so ago. And he's a big fan of like other like social, and I don't want to say casual, but like other social formats. Like I was talking to Alan about doing like a 2v2 like tag team kind of format.
Yes.
Talk to Ian about that.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah.
So like I think the overall idea that I get is like Flesh and Blood has like their competitive formats. They're really good at it, but they just like the folks at LSS just love the game and love playing it, and like love playing it in a lot of different ways. And I think it's a game that you can definitely do that. And it's like such a unique game where I think it feels so different playing like in these other formats compared to other games out there on the market that are maybe more like unit or minion based or whatever you want to call it. So it feels different, and it's like it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's like for a question for the audience and you guys as well. Like what I know I might know your answer already, Bill, but obviously Flesh and Blood is a 1v1 game, but what do you feel about a hero that can summon units or allies to fight for you? Because obviously it's a 1v1 game. As soon as you sort of allocate these extra things that can be attacked, like Spectra or Ally, do you think that takes away from the experience, or do you think it's a space that they can sort of explore more, like the allies and stuff? Question for the audience as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I have thoughts on this. I think it's totally fine, and not only that, I think it's actually really cool if they do it sparingly and it fits with the flavor of the character. The way I like to think about it is like a lot of people use this as an early comparison, but like Diablo, right? So you have your Diablo characters like your Barbarian, you have your like Amazon. I'm using Diablo 3 or Diablo 2 characters. You have like your Sorceress, but you also have your Necromancer, right? And your Necro just summons a bunch of dudes that fight for him. And so like I think if it fits the flavor of the character, it works, right? Because like I mean that makes sense, right? On a battlefield, like you have your Barbarian. The Barbarian's gonna fight with his fist, like fight you with a weapon, but the Necro is gonna like summon, fodder for people to fight. And so like I think Dromai fits that kind of bill. So yeah, curious to hear what y'all think about that.
I'm basically right there with you. That somebody in the chat here, Ravdeep, just said allies shouldn't be generic. I fully agree with that. Yeah, I don't think that allies are something that every class should have access to. It is still a portion of this game because a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I interact with that play this game, also happen to very much like D&D. Where in this sort of game, it is very much like an RPG almost. It's like a card game version of a fighting game and a role-playing game, like at the same time. It's really cool in that way. It fills a really interesting space. But there are people that want to play the Necromancer in Diablo 2. And having access to being able to basically like control an army of things is a strategy that I think should exist, but it shouldn't be something that everybody has access to, because everybody sort of needs a strength and a weakness. And of course, like the strength of the Necromancer is that they have numbers, but the weakness is that each individual person, including them, is weak, is very frail. That's sort of the trade-off there. So
yeah, like Jake in the chat is saying here, I think it's kind of too polarizing at the moment, where some characters like Fi can really feed on it, and it's same with like Dory, they can just swing the Dawnblade and get counters on the allies and all that sort of thing. But Rangers, oh yeah, we know about this. They struggle because they can only do like I'm speaking from Azalea perspective, like a 1-2 punch, like a bolt and shot, and then a nice little on hit effect. Lexi might be able to do more against them. But yeah,
I actually kind of like that it's not just good against everything though, right? Like I think you need checks and balances. And if it was just either like terrible against everything or good against everything, then I don't think your game is well balanced. Like I think actually having bad matchups is what makes a game balanced. If everything is just like really good against everything else, then it's like, why play something other like over anything else? I don't know.
It's and Decks and Drafts actually has a really good point here. It does sort of detract from the way that Flesh and Blood is currently, because a lot of it is based on only having to worry about a single target, especially the old characters and stuff. Like they didn't, like old Guardian, old Brute didn't care about doing really multiple attacks, but just like one big attack. And that's sort of why Arclight Sentinel is such a backbreaker against certain strategies, because it's like, well, you can only attack once and it has to be this thing. It can't be.
So but I think a black hole of just sadness, really.
I do think that it basically is, but as the game sort of evolves, I think that it will find a more balanced space. And I could go on a tirade as well about the second half of their comment here, the arcane / physical damage combo. The game isn't really balanced for mixed damage that well either, in my opinion, but people have been, dealing with it and finding their own ways to sort of play around it. And I think that LSS is actually very mindful of it, and they're making good strides.
I think mechanics like Quell help with that, because they can prevent either, and stuff like, even though everyone hates it except for the people who win matches off of it, obviously, like cards like Oasis Respite also help with that kind of thing, because it does prevent anything, right? It prevents physical, prevents arcane. It does help with that, even if it is a giant pain in the butt. Like stupid Oasis Respite got me, like when I was playing Arachne in that UPF game.
Oh yeah,
you're just like stop playing Oasis Respite.
I had the shred in my arsenal, and I can't remember who it was, but was it Steven? Someone guessed that I had it in the arsenal, and so they just kept playing Oasis Respite instead of blocking, and it was so annoying. It's so annoying.
Oh damn it! Yeah.
But yeah, another thing here. Something that Mink says. Mink is a good friend of mine, and also mentioned. What did he say when he first showed up? Is that the Billiam, the most famous and notable of all his siblings? I am a niche micro celebrity, so.
Wait, how many celebrities do you have?
My older brother is the head of the Spike Feeders. Rangers also have to commit cards to allies. They can't just swing a weapon. Something that I do want to see, that I have gone on record for, I would love if Rangers got access to just like a little dagger, like something as like an offhand that somehow works with the bow, and have it be like not super great, but just like a utility knife,
Rangers.
When it's like, I need to open this package from Amazon, or I have to kill this Ashwing,
It's like
I have to open this package from Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I've got a bottle opener here. It's like a Swiss Army knife almost, but it's just something like this, just flips up, and you've got something. At least.
It's the smallest knife of all time.
Exactly.
For the audio,
that is all you need.
Audio
That's
listeners, Az is holding up a knife that's the size of your fingernail.
Tiny little thing.
It's a well, it's if anybody is a sommelier in the audio listener world, it's a wine opener. It's for cutting the foil on the top of a wine. But
that is literally it.
That's exactly what I want Azalea to have.
But still an option that Ranger needs in order to ping that 1 damage when you got no card. You know.
I just need to poke this thing for 1 damage.
I mean, let's get real. That's not the only problem Ranger has. Ranger has like a lot of problems mixed into it. It's such a fun and flavorful class, and sometimes it can be good, like Ice Lexi, most importantly. But like Ranger has what I call the Ranger tax. Everything has to be filtered through your bow. So even your 0-cost arrows aren't 0-cost arrows. They're more or less 1-cost arrows, and all of your 2-cost arrows. All your 1-cost arrows cost 2, and the attack per resource is like way lower than other classes, right? Because other classes get 0 for 4s with like free go again, Rune Blade, and then other classes get 2 for 6s, like for days, brute. So like Ranger's got like a 3 for 6 with like battering bolt, like and then like on top of that,
I'll say it's a with Dreadbore it's a 3 for 7, which I love.
7's not bad. 3 for 7's good. You can do that too with Voltaire as well. But like, what I'm saying is that like all your stuff has this extra tax unless you have shenanigans like your bullseye bracers or whatever. And so like it just makes the class that much more like clunky. I love it though. It's my I think Assassin might be my favorite, but it's close. Like Assassin and Ranger are like my favorites. And
it's still just very mechanically cohesive. Like it doesn't necessarily work as consistently in a competitive context, but does it work in a flavor context? Oh my
god, yeah.
And
so good.
And unlike Assassin, all of your freaking cards that aren't arrows block for 2. So it's like you have bad blocks, you have the tax, and then you have like no weapon. So it's like all of these things compounded just make Ranger like just not as streamlined as other classes. So
that's why we play the hero, because it's a absolutely ridiculously hard time, baby. It's like Dark Souls of the thingy. But
So I was sitting next to somebody recently at an armory, and I was playing my Prism deck into it was a Guardian. It was a Brute. I think it was a Brute. I think people are playing Reinar in my local meta. So I was playing this Prism deck into a Reinar and just losing because there's nothing I can do. And the person sitting next to me was like, "Oh, this doesn't look like a great matchup for you." I'm like, "No, I throw away the Guardian and Brute matchups to have like actually really good matchups against most other decks."
I mean,
like against Fi, I just put out more damage faster. So that's the fun part for me.
Kevin says, let's hope Outsiders solve some of these issues. I agree. We'll see. We do know that like Azalea was like a last minute include into Arcane Rising. So like Ranger as a class, I don't think got as much development time as other classes. And this is something that I want to ask James specifically when we have him on the podcast. I just kind of want to ask him about the development history of Ranger, just in general. I want to ask him a lot more design questions when he's on the podcast. I have a lot of like questions just about design and development, but
I would love to
Outsiders fixes things.
I would love to get confirmation, because I'm pretty sure you told me that there's like a story in the back end, the annals of Flesh and Blood,
the annals of
Legend Story Studios, the annals of Suckclip. But that Azalea was actually like hard nerfed emergency like before Arcane Rising came out.
That was the rumor. That like this is like way back before Crew came out. This was like something I read. I don't remember if it was like on the Fab Facebook or something, or if it was James in an interview, like an early interview, maybe with like Chris Bewley. But I heard that Azalea was like, they thought it would be like too oppressive, so it got like nerfed somehow, like before they pushed it out. And that makes sense if it had like very little development time. If Assassin was originally in there and they kicked it out to put Ranger in, it makes sense. Also, I want to shout out a bunch of people chatting, but we had Ian in the chat a little bit ago. He said "Merry Christmas" from the Future Boys. Merry Christmas, Ian, if you're still in chat.
Nice. Yeah.
But
he's one of the sort of go-to, if one of us can't make it, Ian steps in to represent the third country, New Zealand.
Yeah, he's one of the honorary living legends.
Absolutely.
He's one of the, like, I like to think of it as he's one of the few people who love card games as much as me. So it's just like, Ian, you want to talk about card games? Like, you want to play some card games? And he's almost always like, yeah, if I have time, yeah.
Let's go for it.
Oh, there's something that Dex and Drafts is talking about here that really just reminded me of something that I had like a brain blast about like months and months ago. But they say, I kind of wish that the bow had a knock slot instead of having to use the arsenal. That's the real test I'd love to try. I had an idea for like a Shadow Ranger that I thought was just super sick. And it was basically like using your banished zone as that sort of knock zone. I tweeted out my idea and I forget exactly how it was worded. But it was something like either the hero itself or their bow is like you can put an arrow from your hand into your arsenal or into your banished zone, and you can play it as though it were in your arsenal to sort of circumvent that rules text that arrows have. And yeah, I would love that. I would love Rangers to actually have access to an arsenal without needing New Horizons.
It's like a quiver zone rather than having to clog your ass with something.
That's something that people have been asking for literally like ever since Arcane Rising came out. They're like, oh, it'd be cool if Ranger got like a quiver like offhand or a quiver like chest piece. A quiver offhand like Diablo 3 would be awesome, where you can use a two-handed bow, but then also still have a quiver.
You can still have,
like it doesn't count as like a thing. You just get it. That would be sweet. I think that'd be cool, and I don't think it'd be broken to have like an extra, even another arsenal for Ranger. And it makes cards like well, people aren't gonna like this, but it makes cards like Command and Conquer even better if you have like extra arsenal zones to deal with. If we're done talking about Ranger, Ninja or about 99 Ninjas brought up a very interesting question that we had a whole saga about this on the podcast earlier this year.
Arc.
It was like 3 or 4 episodes. So folks who've stuck with us throughout the whole thing, they'll know. So 99 Ninjas asks, is playing Talishar online looked down upon in this community? Honestly, some say yes and some say no. I spend money on product. I spend money on a lot of product at my LGS, but getting games in to playtest or even learn is hard. I'll say one thing to the last bit. If your LGS doesn't have like a consistent group, it can be really beneficial to find like a group of friends who just really love the game and like playing locally. It can be tough, but like that could work. But anyway, the question, Talishar. Is Talishar looked down upon by the community? What do you guys think?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. No. I like even at my worst, when we were actually having these active discussions, the main source of my concern was just potentially stepping on toes from like an IP perspective, because it used to be called Flesh and Blood Online. That's like the hidden lore of that.
That's one of the big. Well, I'll let you continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that was my only really big main concern. The other thing that I mean, sort of weirded me out, but I've mellowed out about it now, was just that it almost disproportionately incentivizes people to just infinitely grind online as long as they can find matchups to figure out their deck to top tournaments and stuff. But like we were saying earlier, the people who top tournaments are a small fraction of the community anyway. Yeah. So if you want to play, then absolutely, like Talishar is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Even if you don't buy your own cards, like I don't think that this game should necessarily be gated behind a paywall of any sort. Like I know you can build decks for really cheap, but you know, if you wanted to figure out whether or not your deck runs better with Spring Tunic, or if Crown of Providence is actually that beneficial for you, then like instead of spending the $300 and figuring out, oh, I could actually run this instead, then I don't know, like you can do whatever you want. I just want people to play the game.
I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what Talishar does the best, is it just gets people to play the game, regardless of whether or not it might detract people from going to the LGS, or might incentivize tournament grinders to grind even more. I think at the end of the day, it's just the fact that it allows other people to play, and that was always what we talked about. Like, regardless of how we felt about it, at the end of the day, like, for those who can't play as much as they would like to, or they don't have the means to do so, I think it's a really good avenue. I mean, like, me personally though, like I don't not like it. In fact, I have my own sleeves in Talishar. So if you're a patron of mine, you have access to like 5 extra sleeves that have like the Red Zone Road card back and a bunch of the art that I commissioned from Flesh and Blood artists. But I've literally never uploaded a video or streamed Talishar a single time, and I don't think I will. And that's just because if I can, I will always try to play as much in person as I can. And so like for streaming and that kind of stuff, it means webcam games, right? And you know, that's because I really believe in the vision behind Legend Story Studios and James White, and I really want to try to you know, project that energy to all my stuff. So nothing against people who do or whatever, but because I know as does like Azalea live streams on Talishar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a great tool, and allows you to play the game in a way that you don't have to invest. You know, you can test it out first, and then you know you can test out the legendaries. You can test out all the things that cost a load of money, and then decide whether you want to jump in from there. And you know, LGSs that have adopted Flesh and Blood, all of the ones that have adopted that already have guaranteed all the people that are going down to win armories and all that sort of thing. They've already established their local night or what have you. So new people that want to get into it, you know, a gateway to be able to do that, Talishar Online. And as Mink is saying here, a place to rep Bill's Prism list is a great way. is a great place to do it.
He actually messaged me on Discord one time when he was playing it on Talishar, and he's like, check out this chain. And he was able to like, he had I think 3 or 4 defense reactions on the chain, because he played a sink below, sunk something into another sink below, played sink below, sunk it into that all you got.
Nice.
Like he was able to block like 30 damage or something in a single turn. It was fantastic.
Oh, I love that when it happens.
Yeah,
like it's like when you like when I play against Bravo. Obviously, I exclusively play Azalea, as everyone knows. It's like when you when they come in with a crippling crush, right, and you play a take cover from your arsenal, which reloads another D-react into your arsenal, so then you can play another D-react from your arsenal, so it gets round their dominated crippling crush. It's like.
That's my favorite thing, is when somebody tosses a huge, like just a gigantic dumb dominated attack at me, and I'm oh, by the way, I had a red sink below in my arsenal, and they're like, well, but you blocked with 2 cards. I'm like, yeah, but only one was from my hand.
Exactly.
And I do a little goblin dance, and I'm just like, I don't understand. I just wanted to hit you for 15.
Oh, brilliant.
Jokes aside, I love brute players.
I probably played against more brute than like any other class, just because I play against Ian a lot, and he plays like almost exclusively brute. So I played against a lot of Reinar and a little bit KO and Levia. We also have to shout out to more folks from New Zealand. We have Fab Kiwi, who says Merry Christmas from New Zealand, and I saw Lynette also saying Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas to both of you, everyone in New Zealand and Australia.
Because they're opening their presents right now, potentially, or just having that first cup of tea or coffee when they're waking up on Christmas Day. What a lovely old job.
Yeah. Lovely.
We're still waiting for it. We're still waiting for it. I'm closer than you guys in the chat, but there we go.
Yeah, because what time is it right now in New Zealand? What time is it in New Zealand?
I can't remember off the top of my head if it's like really far ahead, but the day. I think it's further ahead, but the day before. No, it's behind, but the day ahead. So I think it's probably like
8:36 a.m. currently.
Cool.
What is it?
8:36 a.m.
Christmas morning.
Bright and
Christmas
early.
morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any folks like. This is what I used to do Christmas morning when I was a kid. So my brother and I would wake up, at the crack of dawn, obviously, because we wanted to get our presents. And then we'd just wait forever because our parents would sleep in because they had the day off, right? Because, they're normal working adults who have jobs and they want to sleep in on their day off. And my brother and I would just be like, come on.
Just waiting to get up, making loads of noise, like on purpose to try and get them up, like, and we didn't try to make loads of noise.
Back in my day, we didn't have the internet to like entertain us. So it was just like play Super Nintendo or whatever, or like try to watch,
mate. Absolutely.
Or watch like Cartoon Network or whatever.
when I was a kid, I would wake up. I would never open presents early. I have enough respect for the holiday and for the tradition to not do that. However, I would wake up at 4 a.m. before anybody else. I wouldn't wake anybody else up, but I would go down to the Christmas tree and I would sort all of the presents into who the recipient was. Because the way that we do it, my house has a bunch of like, I don't know. I love the Christmas traditions that we have, but they're so particular and they're so weird, and it's fantastic. The way that we open presents, first we open our stockings, and we get up, we have some orange juice, whatever, we sit around in a circle, and we go around and we pull out one thing from our stocking, and we hold it up, and everybody goes, "Oh, very nice, very nice." And we go around.
Oh my god. We do that, but everyone just like, so you get your stocking and everyone just opens it all at the same time. No one waits. It's just like yeah. And then people.
That's the difference.
And then usually people will have like stories or prefaces like, "Oh, I got you this because," or whatever, that kind of stuff.
I do want to. There's just like a little bit more from my story, but Mink has one thing before he has family obligations, so I'd love to see.
Oh, go on, Mink.
Would you rather see adult versions of the young-only heroes to allow more overlap between CC and Blitz, or more adult heroes like Starvo to see more differences and uniqueness between formats? That's actually a really good question. I don't mean to sound that surprised, Mink. I apologize, but that is actually like a solid question, because right now in Blitz we do have obviously the young-only heroes. We have Benji, we have Kasai. Bunch from Crucible.
Yeah.
And then, for a while only Icelander was only young and then got an adult version.
Yeah.
Starvo was never playable in Blitz. I actually really kind of like that, to sort of showcase the differences between the formats.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily every young hero needs an old equivalent, and vice versa. I would really see I would really like, more of a difference between the formats, honestly. I think that would be cool, personally.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like how Blitz isn't just, like, tiny CC. And it kind of, like, I don't want to say it annoys me, but when people are like, I don't like Blitz because it's not CC, it's like, yeah, it's not. Go play CC if you like CC.
Yeah.
Like, Blitz doesn't need to be tiny CC. It can be its own thing, and it can be different.
Yeah.
I
don't think it needs to be like completely separate. There are some heroes that I'd like to see adult versions of. One of the main ones is actually what Kevin LaFlamme just said. I would love to play
Kasai.
Her specialization, the blood, the Stevens card.
Yeah.
I would love to play that in CC. Going like full on all out with like 3 of them in a single turn would be nuts and so cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, happy holidays from Iceland. Happy holidays. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but happy holidays.
I believe it's I'm not going to get the actual accenting right, but it's Thorir Peterson. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, please let us know what the pronunciation is. Yeah.
But yeah, happy holidays. Thanks for tuning in.
Also, really quickly, Aaron says, "What's your brother up to these days, Kel?" My brother, his name is Tyson. He plays a lot of competitive video games like League of Legends and shooters, and he's very, very good at it. He's one of those people who plays like CS:GO, and then people kick him out of their lobbies because they think he's cheating, and he's not actually cheating. He's just really good. Yeah, he's gotten kicked out before because he just dominates people. Is he into card games? Yeah, I think he's asking this question because I talk about how my brother and I used to play card games a lot growing up. He's not as into card games as I am. He will play occasionally, but he's one of those people who, if the rules are too long, his eyes glaze over and he's like, ugh, just let me shoot some people. Like,
oh my god,
straight to the action.
It's like whenever my brother loves board games, like absolutely adores board games, and also the more rules, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I do like board games, but the types of board games that he likes are just too cerebral and too big brain for me. He was trying to teach me Scythe one time. If anybody's ever heard of it.
What a great game!
Scythe.
I've never heard of it. I'm gonna look it up.
It has like how many pieces? Probably 300, 400 pieces.
Is it Scythe?
And it takes like 4 solid hours to play a game.
Yeah. Oh, is it? So who are you speaking about here? Which brother?
For me, it's I have one brother and one sister, and my brother is Jim from the Spike Feeders.
Me too.
Oh, so he loves board games.
Yeah, he adores board games.
I mean, that's no
surprise. So many of them. Yeah. It's
and the longer the better. So the more sort of the longer the playtime, the better.
Oh, bro, dude, this game looks sick. It looks like I love this game.
I think objectively it's a cool game, but my brain is too small and smooth for it.
See, I'm the person who like shows up with the giant board game and my eyes are gleaming and I'm like, ooh, let's play. And then everyone else is like, oh my God, what did we agree to?
Oh God, yeah.
I'm like,
the box for Scythe is like this tall.
Yeah. I'm like, we're gonna play the Gloomhaven standalone expansion, Jaws of the Lion, and everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What do we do?
How long does it take to set up? You sat there for like 25 minutes setting up. And
like Gloomhaven 2. I'm pretty sure there was a game called Eclipse that he really liked.
Eclipse, yeah. Space exploration game, yeah. Love that one as well.
And it takes like 2 hours to just set up.
I've learned my lesson, and so like I have my retinue of games for the people who like can't be bothered. So there's like, if you literally don't give a shit at all and you're just like, let's play something now. I'm like, Sushi Go. I'm like, let's play Sushi Go. It's fun.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything. Like I just tell you how to play in like 2 seconds. There's also another board game that's very lovely that I think is like a medium, and it's called Everdell. It has this really
that's a good one.
Awesome, like almost like Brian Jacques vibe, where there's like, you know, anthropomorphized animals, and this like it's like a city builder. It's weird. It's really fun. Everdell is great. But anyway,
if people in the chat love board games, not sure whether you listen to the Dice Tower, but I've been listening to them for absolutely ages, because I used to be a well, I still am really to some degree. You can probably see some board games in the background here to a certain degree, but yeah, massive part of my life really.
Do you watch?
I love the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so bad.
That's right. It's Discord, so there is always a slight delay of people watching. So we're not just being absolute knobs to each other. We're not just stepping on people's toes and stuff. We are trying to coordinate this. What was you going to say?
I try to time it so that your sentence is done, and so I start talking right after it to cut out the air, because that's what you do.
Absolute skills.
That's what you do in coverage, and I time it wrong, and it's like I just talk right over you. I'm like, oh God, I feel so bad. Ian turned me on to a new not new, but for me it's new, a board game channel called No Rolls Barred.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah,
they're a UK based one, and they're like really good. It's kind of like Will Wheaton's old show Tabletop, but like a bunch of British people, and it's like it's so good. Like they just play. They play a bunch of games, and I've been enjoying it a lot. So, like, for me, I actually listen to and consume a lot of content because I have it going while I'm doing editing or while I'm doing a bunch of stuff. So I listen to a lot of content. So I needed something new to listen to, and he suggested that, and it's really good. I would one of the so they play board games, right? They'll play like everything from Dune to whatever. Nice. But they also play old crappy board games, and they tweak it to make them worse in a fun way.
Oh, right.
So
make them worse than they already are.
Yeah, they'll make them worse. So so there was a battleship, but instead of putting like little pegs in a board, they were all shot glasses. So if you
I played that.
Yeah.
I played Battle Shot.
Yeah,
Battle Shots is a great game.
And then
Gets you well pissed though.
If you want to watch one, NRB are rad. They are rad. If you want to watch one that's just really funny, it's Guess Who, but with vibes only, and it is hilarious. It's like just watch it on their channel. They can only ask Guess Who questions based on character vibes. So they would like some of the vibes would be like, would this person write something vaguely racist on Facebook? Like that kind of thing.
Guess Who character vibes.
Does this person buy avocado toast? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Would this person ask for extra ranch at Buffalo Wild Wings?
Oh yes.
Brilliant.
It's such a funny episode.
Really just to cut in, Mink, thanks for hanging out. Always appreciate you being here, and hope you have a lovely holiday with your family. And also Iron Galactus, thanks for popping by to say happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We appreciate you being here and listening, even if you're just here for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to say hi is exactly why we set this up. Honestly, we just want to have some fun with the people who will actually hang out with us.
Yeah, too right. And this this episode as well, for people that are just popping in momentarily on the day when it's live, there will be an audio version for this as well, so you can catch up with all of the Living Legends gossip as it comes out live on the audio version later in the week as well. So you can still do that.
It will also be available as just a VOD on my channel and the live stream section with the chat there. I made the option, so if you want to read chat, you're there. So all of your comments are now immortalized on YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah. You're famous, baby.
Yeah.
The best podcast 2022 from the Speedy Awards. There we go.
Yeah, I was trying to explain it to my girlfriend yesterday when I sort of found out about it, and she was like, "Well, like, what kind of award is it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just like a community award. Like, people voted for it." She's like, "Oh, is it like a big thing?" I'm like,
You should have been like,
it's just kind of a nice piece of recognition.
It's worth $1 million, babe. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
but it all got taken from taxes. Took it all. God.
Yeah, rinsed it. Yeah.
The real award is the friendships we made along the way.
Exactly. Yeah. Your philosophical.
You say that in jest, but also not entirely untrue. Not entirely untrue.
I've said it before to you guys, and I'll say it again. I do actually look forward to recording this. It's just a fun chat.
Oh, really?
Always.
You haven't had that before?
Yeah. Hey, some weeks...
Oh, I always said it when Az wasn't here, because that's when I enjoy it.
Yeah.
No,
brilliant.
I'm joking.
Fantastic.
It's great. So I mean, some weeks it's like the only time I actually talk to other people about Flesh and Blood, because I'm just like, head down working on all of my videos and stuff. I mean, outside of like internet, I obviously respond to people on the internet all the time. But I'm talking about talking to actually talking to someone. There's a difference.
Yeah.
How long do y'all think you'll be on? Like on live stream? Probably for another hour, maybe-ish or so.
Yeah, I have to kick off at 2:30 my time, which is in exactly 40 minutes. I just watched it.
There you go.
Click over.
40 minutes. There we go.
Yeah, we'll be on for another 40 minutes. But in terms of the podcast, until we don't have things to talk about.
Until the end of time.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the boys. How's it going? How's it going, John?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Merry
John,
Christmas
and thanks
to the
to
LLP
Grifter
crew.
Comic.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
And happy holidays.
LLP crew. I love that. Love it.
Yeah, man.
LLP.
This is it. This is our crew.
Limited liability podcast.
Yep. Well, we do actually call it LLP. Like, internally, we call it LLP. So
we do, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Something else that I just wanted to say quickly. I do want to see if Az is willing to do his idea that you sort of brought up this morning. But another thing that was Az's idea, and unfortunately he's the only one that was able to make good on it, was he was like, "Hey boys, we should all wear Santa hats for the podcast." And I don't have a Santa hat.
I don't
and
have one
Kel
either.
checked.
Well,
didn't
so
have a Santa hat.
I asked my partner Robin, and I'm like, "Hey, do we have a Santa hat that I can use?" I figured she might have one or something because she wears some stuff to work for holidays and stuff. And she's like, "No, I only have like this like little reindeer ear tiara thing." She's like, "You can wear that if you want." And I'm like, I'm not wearing the reindeer ears.
Reindeer ear tiara.
I'm like,
get
no.
the reindeer tiara out. Go on.
That's phenomenal.
I wear black for the holidays, not
absolutely. Yeah.
reindeer.
Exclusively Wednesday Addams on Netflix.
I mean, I wear. If people have seen my videos, I almost always wear exclusively black, and it's been that way since I was like, I don't know, 15. Yeah.
Same.
But yeah, so a few years ago, my girlfriend's mom actually made this for us for the channel, and it's a little
cute.
Spike Feeders golem, and he's very cute. He's made of like a felted little guy. He's very cool.
Well, even the pot bit is felt as well.
No, the pot is actually like a ceramic.
Okay.
Pot. Like it's an actual flower pot. It's really cool. But nice. When Az was like, "Oh, we should all wear Santa hats," I was like, "Oh, I don't have a Santa hat." But you know who does have a Santa hat? The little Spike Feeder golem.
Oh, look at him!
Oh, he's cute. Look at him.
He's so cute.
He's just got a little cap. He's so cute.
Oh,
Told us apart.
lovely.
So yeah, that's my contribution to that.
The audio listeners, it's a little felt. It's a little felt.
It's a little felt hat. I'll post a tweet of it as well as like
should.
a Merry Christmas thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For the audio listeners out there, it's basically the Spike Feeders logo, but with a Santa hat on it.
A little Santa hat. It's very cute.
So yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Andrew says LLP means limited liability partnership in my professional life. It means that in mine too. I am in insurance.
Fantastic.
I have so many stupid little acronyms that I have to remember.
John asked, do we have any speculation onto what Brian from Tellurian Community College is making with LSS? I want to say UPF 4-player kit, but it's probably Challenger decks. So, I'm not going to say if I know anything more or not, but I will tell you what we actually know for sure, and that it's a product. And then Prof also said it's not deck boxes. He said that on Flake's podcast. So we know those two things. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit more when we have Prof here on the podcast, because
definitely
I talked to him a little bit about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, whatever you want." So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we'll have him on the podcast in next year sometime, probably.
Speaking of which, as well, I mean, like guests for the podcast. I mean, I think we mentioned this briefly last time, but for people that are viewing live in the chat, we said that. You said that Professor is obviously Brian is happy to come on at some stage, and so is James as well.
Yeah,
James
so
White?
I've talked to 3 people, and they're basically more or less confirmed for next year. So that's Tellurian Community College, James White, and Sam Yang. And Sam said he'd be down for mid-January. James just said sometime early next year, and Prof said whenever I want. So I kind of want to space them a little bit. Sam is going to be really interesting. We'll talk about art. He actually told me that he has a little bit more freedom to talk openly about stuff, so it'll be really interesting. And I really want to get his takes on a lot of art stuff that's going on these days. Not just Flesh and Blood art, but I want to ask him about like the AI art stuff going on, because I have a lot of artist friends, and every single one of them hates it. So
that's true.
I would love to get Sam's perspective on it, because Sam has a lot of great ideas and about like the art industry. So
that's a very very relevant topic, because there's loads of it going around at the moment. So that's definitely a good thing to ask.
John says you should get MJ on the pod. Yes, so MJ is another person that I've thought about. I have not asked her yet, though she is a friend on Facebook, so I could ask her. I think it'd be cool. She has actually been on one podcast before, and that was on Radio Reflex, Ian and Alan's old podcast. Really? It's one of the first Flesh and Blood things I ever listened to, was an interview with her, which is how I knew that she did all of the UI design of Flesh and Blood, which is super cool. It's actually kind of crazy to think that there might be like a bunch of card frames that she designed when Flesh and like initially that we haven't even seen yet. Like, I don't know. It's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to it.
There's so many people sort of behind the scenes that make Flesh and Blood so great, and it's really easy to focus on James White, because he makes himself a figurehead, and he's really good at it. Like, he's a very charismatic individual, and but especially like Sam Yang puts so much work into everything that goes on. MJ puts on an unbelievable, like has basically laid the groundwork for Flesh and Blood, at least aesthetically.
Like MJ, Sam, and Robbie do like such a huge job to make Flesh and Blood look the way it looks and feel the way it feels, that like I keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying it until everyone knows. Like, I think they're like the unsung heroes of Flesh and Blood. Like, I think they're as important as like all the developers and stuff, because like the characters you love
are the true heroes of Wraith.
Exactly. Like, the characters you love, everything wouldn't exist without them, like designing the characters and, you know, fleshing out the world. So
that's why a lot of creatives, a lot of the creative team, the people that are making everything, like lore-wise and character-wise, are happy to just sit there in the background and just be like, "Oh, let James have the limelight, or let someone else have the limelight." But they are the people that are making the characters and the lore, and that's what the card mechanics. And as Brian Gottlieb said on our last episode with him. You know, if there's a theme or a flavor to, or an art or something to work from, that makes their design their design space a lot easier. So, yeah.
My girlfriend just wanted me to show this quickly. So it's wrapping paper. It's got little cactuses on it, and then also there are these tags that her mom handmade with Better Know a Combo and our logo on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Apparently, this is a present for me. So.
That's really cute.
Ooh, he's opening it live on the Living Legends podcast. No, he's not.
No, she just wanted me to show it off. I have too much respect for Christmas and the holidays to open too early.
Yeah, my girlfriend's already opened something from her friends. Absolute outrage. Oh dear.
Sebastian says, "Hey, it's my favorite podcast live. Yo, we're live. Hi, how's it going,
Fantastic.
Sebastian?
Thanks for joining us today on Christmas Eve, baby." Well, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, John has a bunch of really good stuff that he's bringing up here. One of them might be enough for a future episode, honestly.
Yeah,
okay.
I just read
just
it.
for
The first part, the answer is no. I don't follow subreddits because I do not go to Reddit. I basically live online and I don't need that in my life. So I basically stick to like somewhat look at the Flesh and Blood Facebook group, but it's mostly like Twitter, my own Discord. Sometimes I'll peep into DM Armada's Discord, but I know those places are like good places with like people who genuinely actually care about the game and not crap on Reddit. I'm not saying Reddit's all bad, but you know.
No, I went on Reddit a lot years and years and years ago. I still do go on Reddit, but I've pared down my actual like scope really severely. Right now it's like basically I check out both Flesh and Blood subreddits semi-frequently. I basically live on the Path of Champions subreddit, which has like maybe 10 people on it at any given time.
Path of Champions is great,
and
man.
That's about it.
I've been playing that a lot.
It's so good.
I've been
Been
playing it a lot. Really loving one of the new champions, Aatrox. I don't know if you pronounce that name.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, Aatrox is actually just like a really solid deck.
Like that deck just fun. I've been playing it and leveling up through, and I have like only 1 star level, and he's only like level 9 or something, and I've been able to complete like 3.5 star like missions with it. He just crundles in and just destroys everything. Like
it's good stuff.
I don't talk too much about
that. I love that phrase. I've never heard it until I started speaking to you. You're just like, oh yeah, this hero crundles on in. I'm like, what the? What on earth is that?
I say
crundles on in.
I say crundle. I also say trundle as well.
Trundle and crundle, just absolute barraging beatdown.
Yeah, dude.
Just crundling on in.
Crundling on in. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think we're disparaging the. Sorry, Colin in the chat says weird take to disparage the FAB subreddit. I don't think we were disparaging specifically the FAB subreddit, just Reddit in general.
Yeah, I just don't use Reddit. Reddit sucks. I just don't use it.
It's not about the specific community that's there. I just wanted to make that sort of clear.
I will say, one of the only 3 bad experiences I've ever had with Flesh and Blood community was on the Flesh and Blood Reddit. So there's that, because it's Reddit. There's
always someone, isn't there, that's going to try and bring you down.
Yeah,
that's all part of the fun.
We got Jim from FabTCG Cards. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
And a happy
Merry
New
Christmas,
Year.
you filthy animals. I've just seen another comment up here, which is quite funny, right? Drifter Comics saying, after seeing Az read card names at Worlds in an American accent, I would love to suggest a future podcast with Az in an American accent the whole time.
The whole time.
You think you can do that for like an hour and a half, man?
Oh, easily, easily.
It's so jarring.
Absolutely flawless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You sound like you're from California.
Yeah. Well,
so
as Steven said, the California gas station, apparently.
Yeah, California gas station.
California gas station.
California gas station. But maybe we do need to do that in the future, because that's an interesting thing.
That's really funny. Also, something that I do want to plug, actually, just kind of related to this question here that from Sebastian. How do I get the chance to play with y'all in the Flesh and Blood? First of all, apparently somebody on Twitter, I don't remember who it was in the Flesh and Blood space, was like, I hate it when people say in the Flesh and Blood. That just means I want to say it more.
That was Yazi from Australia.
Yeah, Yazi was like, oh, it makes me cringe when people say in the Flesh and Blood.
It's like cool, when someone's tailgating you and you just slow down even more to like fucking piss them off. Just eat it.
Love it.
I don't care. I like it. But I think we as a group, as a podcast, have plans to meet up at least one event in 2023.
Yes.
Obviously the most difficult person to coordinate for this is going to be Az, but whatever we can do. I'm definitely like saving travel funds and time off to specifically go to an event. I think I'm actually going to be going to several, maybe like hopefully 3 next year.
Look at that.
Just because like I haven't gone to events really. The only big event that I ever went to was Vegas in 2019 for Magic, and it was a great time. And then the world shut down. So
yeah. If you want specifics, we talked about this in the last Living Legends podcast episode. The Wednesday episode that just came out. But I think the overall sentiment is that Worlds is a big one. I think all of us are very like looking forward to Worlds. And then after that, for me personally, it's World Premiere events if they do them. So that's my priority. Worlds and then World Premiere events and then probably Pro Tours after that. The bigger the events, the more likely I'm to go to them. If I'm not doing coverage. If I'm doing coverage, I'll go to whatever one they want me to go to. But just for fun, I can't fit it in.
Oh, look at these comments in here. It's fucking hilarious. I'm sorry if people watching and swearing. But Flesh and Turds is dead. Talk about MetaZoo from MetaZoo 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row.
Oh yeah.
My goodness me.
You wanna?
And people are gonna like DG TCG is like, oh look, a troll. This is hilarious. This is the first time I've ever heard the first time I've heard somebody talk about MetaZoo in the past like year.
Wow. Right? That was fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, well,
I'm not sure. I'm not
bye,
sure
MetaZoo 9.
Yeah, see you later.
See you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Bye, buddy. You want to talk about a dead game? You want to talk about MetaZoo?
Yeah. For audio listeners, right, that didn't experience that in the Flesh and Blood. I'm sorry, Yazi. There was a bot or some sort of
a bot, and
said, "Flesh and Turd, the game is dead."
Dead game. No one plays it. By the way, y'all want to go to Worlds #2 next year?
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's like, oh, by the way, there are these huge tournaments that are going on, and people are just like peripherally getting into the game. Like I was mentioning, I think last week and maybe the week before, I have 3 friends that were in my like core group of card game friends back when I was a teenager, like in high school. Yeah. And we played Yu-Gi-Oh together, like during school, like in between classes and before and after school and at lunch. We would sit and play Yu-Gi-Oh, and then it evolved into Magic, and we would play Magic, and then sort of drifted apart, whatever. And like 3 of my friends at this point, just very recently, were like, oh yeah, like I saw Flesh and Blood get advertised at like my local game store, and so I picked up one of the decks and tried it out, and I really liked it. And I was like, well, I got some news for you, buddy. You want to join the Discord that I created for our local game? our local game scene.
Yeah.
Is there like a community Winnipeg Discord that you made then? Is that what you've done? Oh, nice.
Yeah. We were originally hanging out in one just like one of the local game stores' Discord. But there were some folks that were kind of like publicly beefing about just like the way that the store was sort of running stuff and etc. And it just kind of got a little bit awkward to see that. And especially if it's like, yo, like you should, like for new players, I would recommend somebody like come join the Discord. But then when a lot of the discussion was just sort of some back and forth and bad blood and whatever, it felt awkward for that. And I don't blame either person in these conversations, because either they were valid or they weren't. I'm not taking a stance on that personally, but just we're being as sort of supportive and as welcoming as we can, and then they come and see this and there's just like fighting on the Discord, so that just felt weird. So I ended up just making just my own. It's a little tiny Discord. There's not too much going on, but it's just sort of a neutral place for people to
people that are local. Nice.
Just to be like, hey, if people want to trade locally or they want to coordinate to maybe play in person, or they have questions about the game and they want to talk to somebody that they've played against or something like that, like just stuff like that. So
you know what you shouldn't do? What this MetaZoo person is doing, it makes your game look awful. So if you actually want people to play MetaZoo, they made another account and started posting more. It makes your game look like trash. I'm just saying. Like if you want to do that, that's not the way to go about it. If you use the phrase
"to the moon" to describe anything, I'm not interested.
Exactly. And so I'll be very clear here. I have nothing against MetaZoo. I had a good relationship with like MetaZoo and the company and Mike, but this is not how you go about trying to promote a game. So
no.
And I'm someone who's like very
hijack.
I'm very accepting of all games. I just like that people play card games in general. I don't care what game you play, whether it's MetaZoo, Card Fight, Vanguard, or whatever, But like, this is how you make people hate your game. Just saying. So
it's how to be extremely obnoxious and annoying. But if that's what you're trying to do, then you're doing it, man. Good job.
Great job. Well done. Brilliant.
Yeah, but now he changed his name to Trans Lives Matter. And is doing the same thing. So now we have to ban Trans Lives Matter. Oh, you're making us make a really tough political statement, buddy.
And deleted.
Oh.
And they're gone.
And he's gone.
Anyway, well, let's just ignore it, and Kel will deal with it as it comes up again, because it probably will. But
DGTCG is saying, I'm making this into a drinking game. Every time one of you say "in the flesh and blood," I'm chugging. Oh, that is Christmas spirit right there. So, Living Legends podcast is in the flesh and blood right now, just speaking about flesh and blood. And we just love talking in the flesh and blood. So that's 3 drinks at least, TCGCG.
Jim,
get on it, sir.
From Flesh and Blood Trading Card TCG Cards says, I can help mod if you need, bud. You're a mod now, bud. Jim, you're a mod.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, he's got the spanner next to his name. What a lovely old job.
And now he's even more of an honorary member of the Living Legends podcast. He's officially our first employee.
I will say the spam did help increase the chat rate in the analytics that I see.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Oh, jeez. Anyway,
J.K. Rowling is now going to sub to the podcast. Well, there we go. All subscriptions are welcome.
To strip away any sort of pretext or anything, I do want to say that all of us are staunchly allies. At least I freaking hope so.
Yeah.
So that I see what you're doing. That was actually pretty funny that they changed their names to Trans Lives Matter so that we would have to ban them while they're also doing this thing. It's just really funny. I like that.
Yeah. I don't care what your name is. If your name was James White and you were spamming that, you would still get it.
It would still be gone. Yeah.
Also, that would be super weird. He would be. Anyway.
Look, speaking of Fab TCG cards, right? We all know that Jim is a lovely man. He's part of the Azalea Cult sort of series on Go Again Gaming, which is my channel. People aren't aware. And I put on Twitter today that there is an opportunity for someone in the chat to win one of these. Azalea Cult membership card, as you can see. And it says on the back here, LL Pod Christmas episode, which I've just put on the back there. So you're going to be able to win one of these for people in the chat if you can guess one of the cards I'm going to flick up in front of you right now. So we've got another bot in the chat, so we can get rid of those in a moment, Jim or Kel, whoever's necessary. But whoever can identify the art that I'm going to show on screen now will win this card. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first person in the chat to identify what the card name is of this art will win this Azalea Cult membership card. Okay. So I hope all your fingers are on the triggers, because whoever's going to appear in the chat first, MetaZoo is not included in this competition. Then they will win the prize. So we're gonna do this. So whoever can write the name of the card in this chat will win. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. What is it?
Ooh, I know this one.
What is it? First person in the chat will win.
So for those the audio listeners, this is like a female ninja in like a kung fu pose, and there's like a bunch of strands around her.
She has like
That's
a bunch
right.
of whips or something.
Yeah,
That's right.
Ooh.
He's
Kevin
got it.
says Soul
Kevin
Beat
LaFlamme.
Strike, and
That is correct. It's a History Pack 1 as well, just for extra spice.
History Pack 1 Soul Beat Strike. Nice.
Soul Bead Strike, lovely. I love the absolute engagement here going on. Loads of people saying Soul Bead Strike was the Soul Bead. No, it's not Soul Bead. That sounds like an Ann Summers item or something.
I want to just do. So I'm logged into this in my own personal account, and I just want to start shitposting, but then Jim will.
Yeah, right.
Jim will ban me.
Oh, fantastic. So that goes to Kevin LaFlamme.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well done. So I'm going to write that on there. So Kevin LaFlamme. So if you just email me at goagaingaming@gmail.com, I can get your shipping details and fire that over to you as soon as possible. So well done for winning that.
An official member of the Azalea cult, card carrying.
Exactly. Even though the Soul Bead Strike is definitely not an Azalea card, doesn't matter. If you just kept it to Azalea cards, then
be too easy. Too easy.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair.
Everyone knows all the Azalea cards.
Exactly right.
Except for the people when you actually play a Ranger card and they're like, wait, what does that do? Like,
what does that do?
Yeah, it's like when Az played Rock Slide Trap. That one you beat.
What?
Yeah,
is it blue that blocks for 4? Fantastic. Because you're never going to pay the extra to give it the -2.
I mean, that's fair, right?
Yeah, exactly. Drifter Comics saying, I love the Fab community. Nasty spammer comes around and we all still have a great time. Absolutely. It doesn't matter. Even in the face of absolute adversity, we still have a great time because, sod the rest. They're trying to ruin that time. So, absolutely. Fantastic.
Ravenous rabbit. That's like the rabbit from Monty Python, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, this what do you call this segment? What's the card, right?
Yeah.
What's the card? Yeah. So that was like a little. I do that. I do this on live streams every now and again where people can win these Azalea Cult cards. Obviously, at the time, I'm streaming, as we mentioned earlier, Talishar online, playing exclusively Azalea, and people can win these Azalea Cult cards through like these What's the Card competitions. So yeah, that's going to become a full series next year, but more of like an actual show rather than a live thing. So yeah, a bit of a tease to that really. But well done, Kevin, for winning that. It's nice to see people are guessing. We had a lot of correct guesses. It's just that Kevin got there first.
Yeah.
It is a dexterity game. So
dexterity game. Yeah, absolutely.
I really like the What's the Card thing, but I never join in because I never join in on any kind of giveaway or something that I'm already like involved in or something. So like for example, like for Battle Spirit Saga, I've been talking with Bandai directly and yada yada yada, and they have like some giveaways, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to enter, but no, I'm not gonna do that because they're already like sending me stuff. And so like for the What's the Card, I was like, I know you already get it.
Yeah, exactly. You already get it anyway.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I actually just love about card games, is just getting into just like weird recognition, like places where I can recognize cards immediately. And I know the most vague and the most just completely deep cut cards in the game. I still have this random useless knowledge from back when I used to play Magic, and
I love useless knowledge.
Elliot hated it because the one thing that I would talk about all the time is there's a card from Legends called All Hallows Eve. It's a sorcery, so it's a spell, except the way that it was originally templated, it just didn't resolve until all of the counters that were placed on it when you cast it were removed. So it just stays like in play until this like happens. And the counters were scream counters, and for the longest time it was the only card in the game that referenced scream counters. But there's also a card called Howl from Beyond, I believe.
That's a Flesh and Blood card, isn't it? Howl from Beyond.
And I think so. Yeah, it's the one that's a buff spell.
Yeah.
It's also about
And,
spelling magic. Plus X plus O.
Yeah.
Where X is it's a black and an X. And I also know like
Yeah.
multiple different versions of the art. Some of them, one of them looks like 3 Wolf Moon, actually.
My favorite one is the one that kind of looks like that red fish man, like the Zora from.
Oh
Link
yeah,
to
I
the
know you're
Past,
talking
if
about.
anybody gets that one?
Is that one? That's not the Ice Age one. That might be a different one. So I know exactly
I
what
think it's
Bill's
like revised.
I know exactly what Bill's talking about because I think you're talking about. I think you're right. I think it's one of the original printings. I was super into Magic for a very long time in my life, and so like I know a lot of Magic cards by sight. So it's a really weird feeling.
From the art.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so like it's a really weird feeling just like playing Magic at like the professor's place. Because a lot of people play with like new cards and I have no idea what they do. So someone plays a card and I'm like, what's that? Can I read your card? Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, this weird Strixhaven mythic does. I don't know, man.
Yeah. That's I love like old recognition for stuff. Somebody posted a thing. I know this isn't like a Magic discussion, but there are some things about old Magic that I still do enjoy. And one of them was somebody like, oh, what are those set symbols that you can never remember? Here's mine. And I looked at all of them and I was like, okay, that's Shadowmoor, that's Eventide, that's Morningtide, and that's Lorwyn.
Yeah. I got those. Yeah. Morningtide is the one that looks like a little like fiery thing. The one that's kind of like straight with a little bunch of little rivets on the bottom. I think that's Shadowmoor. Then Lorwyn. Oh, Lorwyn's like it kind of looks like a claw swoopy doo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like maybe like a wing or something. I don't know what the actual the thing is, but yeah, like just old stuff about Magic is great. All the new stuff about Magic sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's weird and scary to me.
Yeah. I never sell my stuff, so I still have my Magic collection from back when I first started in 1995. So I have a huge Magic collection with a lot of like very, very nice cards that used to not be worth a lot, but now are worth a decent amount. Like
there's a lot, yes.
like Yawgmoth Will. I have a couple of those.
Oh yeah.
That are just explicitly.
This is
bunch now.
for anybody that cares. This is one of the cards in the crown jewel of my collection.
Oh, so it's an alpha one, isn't it?
It's an alpha demonic tutor
I can
signed
tell by
by
the
both
corners.
Doug Schuler and Richard Garfield.
That's actually rad.
It is
as
like,
hell.
yeah, it's the original one. And then also because Cal really likes Japanese stuff, I have a Japanese foil Academy Rector.
Nice.
But yeah, the only cards that I have that I still like really like are all just old cards, because old cards are cool.
I do have a couple like old cards that I still play in my decks. Some of them are from artists that I really like that have passed away. So I have a couple signed Quentin Hoover pieces. So I have like a Felwar Stone, like an original Dark Felwar Stone signed by Quentin Hoover that I run in decks here and there. I have not passed away, but I have a Mark Tedin French foreign black border Soul Ring signed by Mark Tedin. Yeah. It's called Anneau Solaire. And I was like, oh, I really want to get another French one and just have someone like draw Solaire on it from like from Dark Souls.
Praise the sun.
Yeah, praise the sun.
Solaire.
Solaire of Astorga.
Praise the sun.
And then I have a couple other foreign black border ones, like a Mana Vault. I'm trying to get not Mana Crypt, Mana Vault.
The one cost that taps for 3, that one.
The one that's a floating cube. The one that's a floating cube.
Yeah.
So I have a Japanese foreign black border one of those. I have a foreign black border Sylvan Library, Japanese, and a bunch of other stuff. So
yeah.
I went through a phase where I bought like a bunch of foreign black border stuff, like specifically Japanese ones.
Yeah.
I was I loved collecting Japanese cards. I still have a decent amount of good Japanese cards. But the ones that were like, for me, the pinnacle of cool were like especially old foil Russian cards.
Ooh.
Because the print run on them was nothing. There was like there were so little of these cards ever.
Yeah. And, I've played Pleasant Kenobi, and he has a Russian foil Tatiova deck, EDH deck, and it's
nice.
lovely. I have the two Russian foils that I have that are even just worth talking about. This one kind of has some backstory. It's the first ever tutor that I got. It's Idyllic Tutor.
Oh yeah.
And it's a foil Russian version. I specifically, the first version of this that I bought was one from my LGS where it was a non-foil Russian one. And then one of my friends decided to sell this because he needed to finance something, and he was like, "How do you want to buy do you want to buy this for like $50?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yes, I do." And then also the original Elishnorn from New Phyrexia foil Russian, and yeah. I just this is like I have a pile of just like 6 cards that are my favorite cards that I own. And I just never get to show them off anymore.
So I have 2 favorite Magic cards. My overall favorite one is Recurring Nightmare, and my other one is by one of my favorite artists, Quentin Hoover, is Vesuvan Doppelganger. So those are those are like my 2 favorite Magic cards. Hi, come to Japan to meet me. Hopefully someday. You were 15.
I am 15.
No,
nope.
Now we're not.
Nope.
Also, the only reason I would come to Japan to meet you is if you had Magic cards that you were going to give me, or Flesh and Blood cards. But outside of that, I'm good. I'll stay here.
There's what you call it? There's a bunch of players in Japan who are like doing Flesh and Blood stuff, which is great. Like there's a big Flesh and Blood scene in Japan, and I think that LSS is hinting at they're going to bring Flesh and Blood to Japan, so that'd be awesome. I'd love to do like coverage at a calling in Japan. Yeah. I think
there was a Thunder episode with Fluke and Blocks and Tall Timmy. That's their podcast. They're actually in the running on the Speedy Awards actually. So yeah, they've started up this year and obviously getting a lot of views and all that sort of thing. So yeah, shout out to them. But I think their last episode was including a individual that helped launch Flesh and Blood in Japan. So that could be a good one to go and listen to if you're interested in Japanese stuff. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's definitely on there. So that could be one to listen to whoever's watching this or listening to this in the future.
Yeah, so. There's a couple great folks on Twitter who are in the Japanese community that we've already talked about, like. Like meeting up like in Osaka and at their LGS and playing some Flesh and Blood and stuff at some point. Please. Like Liger, I forget his full like Twitter name, but he's one of the folks who.
Tikasu, I think.
Yeah, like Liger Tikasu, and then there's also like another one who's like who works at one of the LGSs there who helps play Flesh and Blood. So I think it's awesome.
Osaka as well. I actually did Google, right. I googled the flights over there from the UK, and they're about £700. So what's that? What? I don't know what the dollar amount is.
I don't know if it's better or worse than the dollar right now. Who knows?
The dollar's like 1.2 or something, but yeah, and I was like, oh, how can we fund the accommodation? Capsule hotel. Literally.
Oh no!
I'd love it. I'd love the experience, right?
I've seen enough abroad in Japan to know that I'm probably will not like a capsule hotel.
Abroad in Japan, who watches that? Leave a comment in the live chat.
Dude,
I like Abroad in Japan. He's very funny.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite channels. Like, I actually watch a lot of like travel-ish type stuff, and Abroad in Japan's great.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah, that's 130 £130, I think, for a week in a capsule hotel, which is pretty good for a week in Japan. Considering that obviously you're not going to be spending much time in your hotel room or your room, right? So if you just want a place to explore Osaka, explore Japan, and you come back, you crawl into your capsule at the end of the day and just collapse and just like that's pretty good price. Pretty good price.
Oh man, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know, man.
Either way, I hope there's a big Flesh and Blood tournament at some point in Japan, because that would be a really good excuse to go there.
I would not be surprised. Like they're bringing Flesh and Blood to Brazil. I imagine we'll see like an bigger event there, sooner rather than later. And then the Flesh and Blood Twitter tweeted out like FAB to Japan like a week or 2 ago. So I would not be surprised if that happens, and that's great. Like Japan has a really, really like robust TCG community, so getting Flesh and Blood there is a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
they'll probably produce some of, if not the best players in the world as well, given their track record and their dedication to these sorts of things as well. When they get into something, it's just like absolute efficiency. So it's going to be interesting to see what players come out of there when we can start getting it. So yeah, I'd love to see that represented. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I unfortunately will have to be heading out in just a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on before we kick off?
I don't think so. No, it's just been a free flow episode, isn't it? Really, just interaction with the
Yeah.
chat, and thank you everyone for being here today.
Yeah.
Whether you're a real or a bot or what have you, it's all engagement, baby.
Yeah. Even
It's all
even
engagement.
even that MetaZoo guy who cranked up the chat rate by like 200%.
Exactly.
Thanks for the engagement.
Cheers for coming on.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah. Also, just one last one, I guess. Cohen in the chat. What's your opinion on a Dromai deck? I think Dromai's great, and I think Kel would agree with me.
Aggro Dromai. Let's do it. It's the deck that Steven stomped me with in the Goliath Gauntlet when we were both going to bring like meme decks, and I bring like this jank shotgun dash deck, and he brings this Dromai deck that just absolutely claps me.
Yeah. Steven's list is pretty good, yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I gotta get ready to hit the road. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I hope that everybody just has a really safe holiday. Whatever you celebrate, you're welcomed and appreciated here.
Exactly.
And yeah, I hope that everybody just has as best of a time as possible. I know it's not always easy, especially in these like, in the winter months. But yeah, I'm planning on having a bunch of eggnog and cheersing with a new bottle of whiskey that my bosses gave to me for Christmas.
Hell yeah, man!
I'm not sure if we spoke about that, but eggnog is an alcoholic drink where you're from, or you mix it with alcohol to achieve.
You can do both.
Yeah, it can be base alcoholic, but you can buy it just in grocery stores and whatever, and it's not alcoholic. But yeah, you can mix it usually with like sort of a spiced rum. I tried it out recently with bourbon, and it was really, really good. And nice. Yeah, it's like so decadent. It is like just pure calories. And
decadent. What a word to finish off the pod with. Decadent. Wow. Not expecting that from a Canadian. Woo! I'm joking. That was fantastic. Yeah, brilliant.
But
yeah, mostly gets mixed in. I like it on its own, to be fair. I'm a little bit of a weirdo, but yeah. Anyway, once again, thank you guys so much. Stay well and stay safe. Happy holidays. And we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Fantastic.
We'll see you in the new year.
Folks.